Hey guys, Miss Warren here. Today I am going to be doing an exercise on two-point linear perspective. We're going to be drawing an E. Now, in my class, we're preparing to draw a two-point linear perspective city. This will help you with like buildings and areas that go in to the buildings, like door openings and that sort of thing. So just like the cubes and just like any two-point linear perspective drawing, we always start with three things. See if you can remember what those three things are. Okay, so the first one is the straight across horizon line. This is where the earth meets the sky or it's eye level with the viewer. I like to put mine a little bit outside of my page. Now the next thing that every single linear perspective drawing needs is vanishing points. So in this case, we're going to do a two-point linear perspective vanishing points. So we need two dots here and here at either end of our horizon line. The next thing that we're going to draw is we're going to draw the corner of our main object. We're going to draw the corner that is closest to us. So we're going to draw a straight up and down vertical line for the corner of that E. Now, we need to make sure that it's exactly vertical, straight up and down. So I'm going to line up the edge of my ruler with the edge of my page. I'm not going to start at the very top because I want a little bit of room to make my E. And I'm going to cross over the horizon line because I want part of it above and part of it below the horizon line, just like in the picture. And there I have the corner of my E. Now the third type of line that you'll see in every single linear perspective drawing is called an orthogonal. It is the slanted line that goes exactly to the vanishing point, and it makes the artwork seem 3D in the same sort of way throughout. So I'm going to draw an orthogonal from the top of my corner line all the way to the vanishing point. I'm going to draw it lightly because I'm going to end up erasing half of it. Now I'm going to do it from the bottom. So I'm going to line up with the bottom corner edge, and I'm going to draw my orthogonal all the way to my vanishing point on the right side. And then I'm going to do the same on the left side. Touch the bottom corner, touch the dot, draw the orthogonal. Touch the top corner, touch the dot exactly, draw the orthogonal. So now I have like the basic outline of my E. Now right now my E goes on forever and ever, but I want it to end before it touches the vanishing point and disappears. So on the back side, I'm going to draw another vertical line. Make sure my ruler is nice and straight, however wide I want the back side of my E. Now I'm going to start at the top orthogonal, and I'm going to draw it all the way down to the bottom one. So there's the back side of my E. If I want to at this point, I can erase my extra orthogonals because I don't need those to make the E anymore. And if I wanted to draw more stuff behind this, it would just start to get confusing. Okay, now I want to decide where I'm going to end the front of my E. So yet again, I line up my ruler, make sure it's straight up and down, very vertical, make sure it's parallel with the edge of my page. I'm going to draw a light line because I'm going to end up erasing parts of this to make like the three separate parts of the E. Okay, so for this purpose, I'm going to make three little marks on this line to kind of show the sections of the E. So the first top part, I'm going to darken this line here. I'm going to darken a line here, and then I'm going to darken a line here. And these are the three parts of my E. Now, I also don't want the sections of the E to go all the way back to the center. So I'm going to very lightly draw a vertical line to the place that they will stop. I'm going to end up erasing most of this line. This is just kind of a marker line. So I'm going to draw it lightly. Cool. So now I'm going to go from this point here. I'm going to touch this point, this point, this point, and this point. I'm going to draw an orthogonal from this line all the way to the dot. So I have to touch three areas. I have to touch this line, I have to touch that dot, and I have to touch my vanishing point. This section here is the part that I definitely am going to keep and not going to erase. Okay, then I'm going to touch the next dot, the vanishing point, and I'm going to draw an orthogonal. I'm going to draw all the way. I'm going to darken this part because this part's the part that I'm going to keep. So I'm going to touch that little dot. I'm going to touch this line. I'm going to line it up with my orthogonal, or my vanishing point, my orthogonal to my vanishing point, and I'm going to draw that line. Now, if you want to, if you get really good at making sure that your ruler's lined up, you don't have to draw the line all the way. You can kind of just stop where you want it to stop. Now I'm going to draw the top one. I'm going to line up with that point. I'm going to touch the dot, and I'm going to draw the orthogonal. Okay, so there I have like the 3 sections of my E. At this time, if you kind of want to erase the extra lines, I don't need to keep this one because I want this to be like a solid part of the E. I don't need to keep this one because I want this to be the solid part of the E. I don't need to keep my horizon line inside my E because my E overlaps my horizon line and it's not transparent. I can keep the horizon line behind my E. I'm going to erase my extra orthogonals outside of my E. And I'm going to erase this extra negative space inside my E because I want that to be opened up. It's good to clean it up a little bit as you go because with a complex form, you get a lot of orthogonals. So they get kind of crazy and they start to crisscross each other. Now, my E is almost done, but I need this little area here and this little area here. What the instructions don't show you is that they go backwards to the opposite side. So if you had like a building with an open door or an open window, or you could see like an alleyway between the buildings, you would use this same technique. If it's below the horizon line, you start at that top corner, you line it up with the opposite vanishing point, and then you draw your orthogonal. Now I can just stop here when it hits that line because that line's going to hide it. Or if I really want to, I can go all the way back to make sure it lines up. Same thing with this top one. Now, the one that is even with the horizon line, you won't see the top of this section or the bottom of this section, so you leave it alone. But the one above the horizon line goes back to the opposite as well. See, that goes all the way to that dot. Darken it a little bit. So if there is a surface below the horizon line, you'll be able to see it here on this side. If there's a surface above the horizon line, you'll be able to see it here on this side. If it is even with the horizon line, you won't be able to see the top or the bottom. This will work if you're drawing a shelf in linear perspective, if you're drawing buildings in linear perspective, if you're drawing an alleyway in linear perspective, if you're drawing a tree house in linear perspective, if you're drawing a window that goes back up into the room in linear perspective. You can apply these things to not only letters, but also other objects. If you want to go back and darken up the lines that you want to keep, you may do so. They're going to be cleaner if you use a ruler. If you want to erase and clean up those lines a little bit more, I'm going to keep my horizon line outside of my E. I'm going to make sure it's erased inside my E. Okay, so there we have an E in 2-point linear perspective.